Mack's bio here. I'm honored that Mack came in today and happy that he's here, that we can do this back on Clubhouse and all across all platforms. But I'm going to read his bio. Then Kate's going to kick off with some questions, and then we're going to jump in because I have a lot of questions for Mack and to have a really good interactive conversation. So, Mack lives in a swamp. This is the best bio, by the way, I've ever read. One time he met MC Hammer in prison, where they were both teaching the residents about technology and entrepreneurship. As far as he knows, he threw the first ever comedy show in VR. He was also the first person ever to use the word neck beard in the New York Times. And if you'll permit a poetic indulgence, he's also something like the Albert Hoffman of NFTs, stumbling upon a massive piece of science that will change human culture and creativity. That's amazing. Mack has been making games and doing other such internet things for quite some time. The ones you probably care most about are his roles as co-founder and chief creative officer at Dapper Labs, which is the maker of Crypto Kitties. Who doesn't know that? NBA Top Shop, incredible. Plus his current role as CEO at Big Head, where they make strange and marvelous NFTs. What better of a bio is that? Welcome, Mack.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Wow, Mac, can you tell us how is that being leading one of the successful NFT of all time? I mean, we hear only about the top 3 successful NFT launch, and the rest are failing. Can you tell us more about that?
I'm lucky enough to have been involved in a couple of successful projects, but I've been involved in many, many, many unsuccessful projects as well before NFTs, and I will be after NFTs. Like, it's just a shots on goal ratio thing. I would argue that I have launched more iOS apps than most people on Earth. You haven't heard of almost any of them. You shouldn't have heard of most of them. Most of them kind of sucked, and that's okay. That's just that's the journey. But if you throw a ball enough times, eventually, even if you ain't very good at basketball, it's going to go in the hoop.
Yeah, I'm curious about what are some of the being part of Crypto Kitties. What are some of the things that makes it really that made it work?
Oh, this could take a whole hour.
Yeah, I'm curious about. That's what everyone's wanting to hear.
So it was a different time. It was 2017. Nobody on this call had ever heard of NFTs. I'm guessing, like I'm being a little shitty, but generally, right? It wasn't a thing a lot of people were talking about because the word NFT didn't exist yet. CryptoPunks were a thing. That was it. Plus these like weird racist rare Pepe things on the XRP network, and then those curio cards that people like. But the world didn't exist as we know it. On the other hand, every single like knitting magazines wanted to write blockchain articles. Everybody on Earth wanted to write something about blockchain because it was as hot as NFTs were, say, last summer, but it was for just like blockchain in general. Again, because NFTs didn't exist. DeFi literally wasn't a word that people had used yet. And so we got the timing really, really good. That's mostly luck, but also some intelligence maybe, but mostly luck. And we built a pink website. Everybody else in blockchain was like pretending they were fucking Neo in the Matrix with like green numbers scrolling up and down vertically on the black backgrounds. And they were like red pilling you, and they were going to show you the future of decentralization and all this crazy shit. And we just said, like, we're going to make cute, adorable cartoon cats fuck on the blockchain. You can make cute cartoon cat babies. And like, that was different and cool. And I mean, to be honest, when Roham said to me, I need you to make the blockchain fun, one of the pillars that I came back with was like, oh, well, it must involve cats because cats are the gasoline of the internet. That's like opt out, not opt in. You explain why you don't use cats, not why you use cats. So that was like, I was right about that, right? Cats, people fucking love cats. I've heard the theory that dog people get to go to the dog park together or something, and so they have some kind of like social stimulation in the real world, but cat people sit at home with their cats, and so this like online cat thing, I don't know if that's why cats are so big on the internet, but outside of porn, cats are the biggest thing in video online, and so that's kind of interesting. We had a group of, by the time when we first started working on CryptoKitties, it was 3 of us. And then 3 months later when we shipped it, there was like 12 of us. But we didn't have to onboard nobody because we'd all worked together for years at Axiom Zen. And so the immense trust that we all had for each other was pretty exceptional and pretty neat. And allowed for incredible collaboration, like in very quick, deep ways of working. We made a bunch of decisions about how to make this work well for blockchain native people, like pricing things in ETH. We could have priced things in US dollars, but there's a trajectory, and not that we knew this at the time, but there's a trajectory that I now have advised people they should take as a sort of blueprint, which is to design your system so that the maximalists can ape in, and then when you hit the tipping point, it works fine from there. I live in my parents' basement here, but I didn't back then. I was just visiting here, and I was walking up the stairs, and somebody sent me a text message that said, "You just sold a cartoon cat for $30,000." And like I know now we live in a post NFT world, and like $30,000 is nothing, but I promise you that was the craziest fucking thing I'd ever heard in my life at that time. There was nothing like that ever. That was fucking bizarre.
Yeah, Matt, I'm gonna, before you're gonna do that, I have to give you an honor. Like, you created this whole kittens and monkeys and the whole thing because you wanted to be more fun. So technically you started it all. Like, how can you gamify the whole cartoonist thing? I mean, like, that's do you ever like, how does that feel? You started a whole movement of NFT being cute and fun.
I didn't start. I pioneered. So Roham said to me in like June of 2017, he's like, "I need you to make the blockchain fun." And I was like, "No, blockchain sucks. It's for anarchists and libertarian fucking neckbeards." There's that word again. And like mouth breathers, and we ain't those people. So why are we gonna do that? And he was like, "It's cute that you have an opinion, but also shut the fuck up and do your job." And I was like, "Good point." And so that cat thing that I just told you about like cats are opt out, not opt in, that was true. The other thing was I always wanted to make a gardening game where you didn't know what bird music you could collect based on the flowers you put in the ground. So you put seeds in the ground, and they would turn into different colored flowers, and depending on the flowers in your garden, different birds would come. So this idea of like genetic discovery was really fun and interesting. And then CryptoPunks. I bought a CryptoPunk for $35 because I seen one that looked like Wonder Woman, and I fucking love Wonder Woman. And so I was like, I didn't tell nobody because I was embarrassed that I just spent $35 on a JPEG on the internet, but I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna do that. So the point is, I did not, pioneered would be a fair word, but not pioneered individually. Many people blazed trails, midgets on the shoulders of giants and all that. I will tell you though that the 721 standard that all of these JPEG empires are built on, like Solana's coming up, good for them, that's awesome. Top Shot's clearly on Flow, so they're not an ERC 721. But the entire ERC 721 standard that most of your JPEG empires are built on was written by Dieter to solve my cat fucking problem. I came to work and I was like, "Hey, let's make cats fuck to mine Bitcoin." And Dieter was like, "What are you even like talking about? That doesn't make sense." I was like, "Well, do blockchain things and then like make new cats and make them good." And he was like, "Oh, we need to create a standard so that we have non-fungible tokens so that blue cats and pink cats aren't the same." I was like, "Yeah, for sure, man, if you say so." And that led to the 721 standard. So I like to tell people that like I was the kitty part of CryptoKitties, not the crypto. And I was the problem that led to the 721 standard, not the solution. Dieter and other very smart engineers all over the world. I work with a guy named Andrew now who worked on that standard. Like, this is decentralization. This is blockchain. It's never the story of one person. It's always a story of collaboration. But I caused problems that led to some pretty fucking incredible solutions, if we're being honest.
Well, there you go. Hey, when we're one of the few first, you can create a solution, create a problem that gives a solution, and people are making money off that problem. Hey, that's the whole ecosystem work, right, Dan?
Yeah, no, that's I do. I like the way you explain things, though. So
I know it's very entertaining. I'm like, this is fun. Dan, what's your question to that one?
Yeah. So you went from the crypto kitties. I know that obviously, like you mentioned, there was a lot of problems. You solved a lot of those problems. There was success. Incredible. So congratulations. How did that lead you to working with the NBA and everything that happened, the craziness of last year, and then moving into this year?
CryptoKitties was crazy, blew up. We were like 25% of all transactions on Ethereum at our peak. It was really like a network melting affair, if I'm being honest. And then they were like, what's next? And I was always really into like two shows from the 80s, one called Murder, She Wrote and one called Highlander, which is probably from the 90s actually. And I've still never figured out how to make a Murder, She Wrote game, but I wanted to make a Highlander game. And we couldn't figure out how to get that license. So we just made Cheese Wizards. Nobody remembers Cheese Wizards, but Cheese Wizards was fucking awesome. It didn't work. It wasn't like a wild success, but this weird cartoon game we made, absolutely beautiful. And that didn't, like I said, work really. And then they were like, oh, after CryptoKitties blew up, every VC on earth came knocking on our door and was like, please take our money. And so we took some of their money and we took that money into a new company we called Dapper. Raham said, hey, we need you to be the co-founder and the chief creative officer of Dapper. Okay. And so we did that. We started Dapper, launched Cheese Wizards from inside Dapper. Didn't work. Then they're like, now what are you going to do? And I was like, oh, I don't know. You tell me. And so they said, go sell to basketball people. And so I went to New York with Katie, who's the best. She's like the head of marketing over at Dapper, probably still, except she's on mat leave because she just had a baby. Hi, Katie, and your baby. And we walked into the basketball office and we're like, hey, we just pushed like $50 million in gross market volume through the pink cats that you didn't know existed 3 months ago. And you have LeBron fucking James sitting on the bench. So why don't you do something about that? And loosely, they were like, good idea. I think it took like 18 months to actually negotiate that deal. And Katie led the charge there. That was something Katie and Roham probably did a lot of, plus Mickey. Mick helped, I'm sure. But over the course of all of that, I eventually left. And I walked away from Dapper. I went back to making mobile games. That's what I do when I'm bored. I need to work. And then I guess 18 months ago, I always remember that Scarface scene. They dragged me back in. Not Scarface, Godfather 2. But still, Pacino. So some people I like and some interesting people were like, please come make NFTs with us. And then I called an old friend of mine and he was like, I think I want to spend the year changing artists' lives using smart contracts as the tool. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I'm going to do that too, but I'm going to do it with Grammy Award winning rappers. And he was like, oh, maybe we should hang out. I was like, yeah, we probably should. And then we started Big Head. That's John. He's my co-founder. I've known him for a long time. Wow. And so then we got going, and then now we've had a wild ass 18 months, if I'm being honest.
Wow, awesome. Well, I think thank you for sharing that. I think it helps people have an understanding of it. It took you guys 18 months to close the deal with NBA to launch the NBA top. Dan, what is that? Top Shot. Yes. See, but some people, they think it's just 30 days, 90 days, right? It's back and forth. And it really requires a lot of patience. And we have a question here from LinkedIn. When CryptoKitties minted, what year was that, Mac?
I believe it was November 28th, 2017.
2017, yeah.
We didn't mint like projects do now. We had 1 year where every 15 minutes we would drop a new clock cat. And then people could breed cats, but new genes being introduced to the ecosystem would only come into these clock cats. So every 15 minutes we had a Dutch auction on one of these cats, and that lasted for 1 year. So there's 96 cats a year for 65 days. And that's a very different approach than this 10K PFP minting thing that people do now.
So now, do you have the correct figures of the total volume of CryptoKitties?
No
Mac?
idea.
No idea. I'm sure it's ginormous then. Well, let's talk about the play to earn program. Who kind of started that whole thing, Mac?
We made CryptoKitties, and like, everybody loved it and all that. And I mean, I'll tell you two things. One, before we launched to the public, we had like a small beta group with, I think, like 1,000 people, maybe not that many, all on Telegram. This is before people were using Discord and shit. And the other thing was that Axiom Zen was this venture studio. So we had different teams working on different projects in there. And those of us who worked on CryptoKitties weren't allowed to buy the cats because we knew the secrets of the genes. There's like insider information that we had. But the other people who worked at Axiom Zen, as long as they didn't work on the project, were allowed to. And so one of them came up to me in this like alpha sort of beta before we'd publicly launched and was like, "Thanks for the trip to Vietnam, man." I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And he said, "I just sold $2,000 worth of CryptoKitties. And so now I'm taking my girlfriend to Vietnam." And I was like, "The fuck are you even talking about?" That was really like, that made no sense at all. But the actual play to earn model, as I think most people think of it, arose when these lovely people called SkyMave, is that what they're called? Axie Infinity. This was before Jihaz joined their team and everything. This is just when it was a couple of Vietnamese dudes. And they wrote a blog post that was like, CryptoKitties is nearly perfect. What a cool concept. How important, blah, blah, blah. But it's deeply flawed in these three ways. And so we're going to build a game that fixes CryptoKitties. And I remember us at the time being like, "Oh, these fucking kids, this is cute. Like, whatever, pat them on their heads, give them a call, wish them best of luck, and just laugh as they fuck it up." And that was actually Infinity. They didn't fuck nothing up. They killed it, man. Those guys did awesome. So I think they invented free-to-play gaming for their, whatever we're calling it, play-to-earn gaming. Like, people made money with CryptoKitties, but I don't think it falls into that standard generating some kind of ERC20 token that people think of as part of that core play-to-earn thing.
Wow. Dan, do you have any question?
Yeah. So now, now we're in a different place than you said than in 2021.
Yep.
So how do you see this playing out when it comes to NFTs and brands, more brands and more mass adoption happening? Where do you see this where do you see this going? What do you see this becoming as something that's maybe less about an investment and a resale value, maybe more of an add-on to a brand or a reward system? Where do you see this all going?
Mostly I have no idea. I think most people who tell you they know what the future looks like are full of shit. But I think like one of the big ideas we had at Dapper, really was Roham's idea, but something that we all kind of organized around was this idea that if you want to build an ecosystem in the modern sense of that world, you need developers and you need consumers and you need IP. Those are the three pieces of the triangle. And the developers will follow the consumers and the consumers will follow the IP. And so what you need to do is get amazing brands into place, and then people will follow the brands, and then developers will follow the people. I think that's loosely true. That's a model that we rolled out with Top Shot, right? At the point that they were building Flow, and I left before Flow launched, but at the moment that they were building Flow, there was no blockchain on earth that was like, "Oh, we're going to launch with a major AAA IP." Everybody was pulling a Bitcoin, pulling an Ethereum. They were getting super, super nerdy developers to really believe and understand in the messages that they were sort of believing in and creating with the decentralized networks. And then slowly over time, letting that kernel of a community grow and expand. That was the model for how to build very successful blockchain communities. And like it worked at least twice, arguably many more times. Flow took a different approach, and it was very high risk, if I'm being honest. And it sort of looks like it might work out, which is super cool. I think a lot more of that, to your point, is part of the future. Like, people need to care about these things. People don't give a fuck about data security. People don't care about decentralization as a word. There's a bunch of big ass buzzwords that the nerd words used that don't matter to muggles. They really they don't. Sell the benefit, not the feature. I used to sell cameras at the Canadian equivalent of Best Buy. And it'd be like, stop fucking talking about how many megapixels are in this camera. Start talking about how beautiful the pictures are going to take if the grandkids' birthday parties are. That was the whole fucking thing. And I realize nobody buys megapixels in cameras anymore, but you know, this was the old days. So I think the future does involve more major IP getting involved with this shit, but I also think there's like, I mean, these fucking goblins. Oh my god, Goblin Town is the greatest thing on the blockchain in like a year, and everybody who doesn't like it is silly. And I think as long as you've got shit like Adidas or Nike coming into the space, you will also have people being like, "Fuck that! You missed the entire point. We're gonna go make some goblins gurgle for 4 hours on a Twitter Spaces because this is fun and interesting."
So to me, it almost sounds like you have. And by the way, I started selling cell phones in 2002, so I'm very familiar with selling them. Not talking about megapixels. We might have gone through the same sales training class, but so it almost sounds like you have multiple worlds converging into one. Is basically what I'm hearing. You have, like you're saying, people that, you know, quote unquote, more nerdy. They're more into the technology. Then you have, you know, corporations, bigger brands, different forms of IP. You have all these people converging into one, and how are they going to play together? And so I think we've kind of seen that over the last year and a half, which is quite interesting. Like some things people don't like, some things people like, and then there's the rest of the population that doesn't really care or know either way. So appreciate that. Kate, over to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, can you believe what our brands are doing now with this stuff you guys started back in 2017? Is that mind blowing to you, Mac?
Yeah. I mean, one thing we used to talk about was like in the old days of YouTube, when you said to major IP holders, people are going to have your shit on YouTube. But like, no. And like, nobody wants their fucking blockbuster movie being on YouTube for free or anything. But just like for the sports moments, talking to the NBA, it felt a lot like what I imagine talking to the NBA about YouTube was, when you're like, yeah, no, the highlights are going to be on YouTube. Like, the fuck they are. We own that IP and we charge people a lot of money in order to be able to broadcast that. There's no fucking way we're putting that on YouTube. And just like social media, and before social media, for you real old bastards, blogging, trying to convince these corporations that blogging was a thing they should do, just made no sense to anybody. What the fuck do you mean we would write about like our corporate values or what are you saying? Like, no, I used to try and convince people many years ago to have business blogs. First blog I ever had. Nobody cares about that. It's a side note. Anyhow, so the thing about big companies right now with the blockchain things is that there's this word progressive decentralization. Mm-hmm. This sort of starting with the notion that if the system that we design has an end state where there are thousands of nodes operated by strangers all over the world, but in order to get to that point, maybe there's only 4 nodes in our blockchain, and we actually run all of them. And that's clearly not decentralized. We're not pretending it is, but we're saying for an intended target end state, the path there is progressive in its decentralization. So that's cool. The brand IP stuff, talking about trying to get them into blogging and YouTubes and talking about progressive decentralization. One of the coolest things about blockchain and NFTs, and now we call it Web3, is extensibility. There was a time, people talk about the PayPal mafia. Mm-hmm. There's a kitty hat mafia that people don't know about. But one of the first things that came out for CryptoKitties that we didn't build was called kitty hats, and let you put hats on cats. And there were just other NFTs of hats, and you could buy them and you could stick them to your cats. And the 1144 or whatever the new construct is, the new NFT standard that lets you merge things, didn't exist. And so it's clunky and awkward and fucking weird, and nobody remembers it. But to be clear, there's 5 people that I know of who worked on that project. 2 of them worked at Dapper. One of them is the lead game designer in Top Shot, but like had profound impact on the future of NFTs. One of them is Jihaz, who became the co-founder-esque of Axie Infinity. Massive. One of them is Dan, who became employee number 1 at OpenSea. And one of them is Jeff, who just fucking rules in his building startup that you're all going to know about soon. This is like profoundly impactful these people's legacy on this space that we all live in. Nobody knows about that shit. But what they were playing with at the time was extensibility. And the thing with the NFTs, that one of the things we loved was this extensibility. You can put hats on cats. Somebody built a racing game for CryptoKitties. They didn't ask us. I remember being pissed. I was like, you can't build a fucking stupid racing game for our cats. I was like, yes, you can. That's the blockchain, man. The person who owns the NFT owns the NFT. And if somebody wants to build an application to make fun or beauty or value for the NFT holder, that's their business. That has nothing to do with you just because you made the NFT. That was an eye-opening thing and really, really neat and cool. And that's not being explored in NFTs for the most part today. And the brands that you're talking about are fucking terrified of that, understandably.
Yeah.
It's the dick and swastika problem, right? If I can remix your NFTs, but you're just going to go around putting Nazi symbols on all of it, well, fuck that. None of us want that. Or if you're just going to put penises on everything, it's kind of funny sometimes. But generally, like, I don't want penises on my, like, Steph Curry basketball card because we accidentally allowed for true interoperability in these major brand shit, you know?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Let's go back to the Super Bowl. Everyone's very excited. Oh, we're gonna see Bored Ape in a commercial because, hey, if you're a holder, then you might sell some merchandise. And these are some of the fun things. Like, once you own that NFT, you own that IP, so you can do whatever you want with it. I mean, Mac, we've heard Dan and I were discussing. There's a Bored Ape, holder that created a restaurant in Long Beach. And it's, Dan, what is the name of that company?
I think it was Bored and Hungry. It was a pop-up.
Yeah, so it's a pop-up. Here are some of the things that you can do with your NFT that I believe, I mean, you as a first creator, like, why would you do that? But then you kind of like the whole concept, like you said, you explain. It's really fascinating and giving, people opportunity to earn money.
So I don't believe that creative licensing rights matter as much as many people in NFTs do. The fuss that gets thrown about, oh, do I have the IP rights over this? You can, like, it's fine. But honestly, you can name on one hand, the number of NFTs that have tried to meaningfully use their creative ownership. And, like, they're all apes, because apes is the only IP that matters in the space. There's the wine thing that somebody did with apes. There's Jenkins. There's the fucking restaurant, whatever, the pop-up restaurant. These are all out of apes. Of all of the other collections and all of the shit that all of those founders got because they didn't give the right rights to the project holders. This is different than the extensibility thing. This is like you own the ape, so you can choose what games your ape plays, is different than you own the ape, so you can go build a game around the ape. And like, when we first got into this and I didn't understand anything around IP rights, I got really excited and I was like, this is amazing. We have to have absolutely zero control over what people do with their CryptoKitties. They own that cat. They own that image. They get to do whatever the fuck they want. That is so cool. That's really weird and really neat. And Dieter, smart guy, again, was like, and what about when somebody makes a pillow for kids that has a CryptoKitty on it, and it gives them cancer because it's made out of a carcinogenic material, and your IP is killing kids, but you gave away the creative rights. Is that cool? Are you good? Are you really excited with that? I was like, no, fuck no. That's terrible. He's like, that kind of shit can happen. If you don't have quality control, if CryptoKitties is the, like, pillow that killed the kids, or somebody builds a toy that comes in a plastic bag that keeps strangling people because it doesn't have enough warning labels on it. Like, there's a bunch of weird things where, as the IP owner, and not just me, like, oh, I created the IP, but you as the rest of the holders of that IP. If Doodles becomes the thing that, like, somehow the Doodle product was unsafe and somebody died because of a Doodles product, that's really bad news for all other Doodle holders. And so I don't know that you can do whatever you want. CC0, I think that's what the kids like to call it. I don't know that that's as utopian and simple as, surprise, surprise, the NFT community likes to believe. We're not known for our nuance in NFTs, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, totally understand. I mean, like, you have no control, and it's scary. Like, oh my God, it's something totally
And it's
not
not about like,
acceptable.
oh, I didn't get my cut of the profit. It's about, oh, I didn't have the ability to mitigate risk. I wasn't
Mhm.
able to make good choices that saved all of us from some dumb drunk asshole who happens to own the same IP as us and fucked it up for all of us. It's very easy to piss in the well of a great collection, and then we're all drinking that water. But if you have somebody who's guarding the well, then you have some kind of control.
Yeah,
And
and yeah, no, I think we had a similar conversation around DAOs and entrepreneurship. The majority of our audience are entrepreneurs. Some are into the space Web3. Some are getting in. Some have no idea. And we had a similar conversation around how does an entrepreneur, a CEO, give up some of that control in a DAO, and how is that going to be in court and all that. And there's been some interesting recent cases. But I'd love to hear about the Big Head Club and what you're doing with that now.
So 18 months ago, started making NFTs again. Called John. Want to make weird NFTs for artists. So we started doing that. Ended up meeting some people down in LA. We met Mila and Ashton and ended up doing Stoner Cats with them. So that is a NFT that they Mila put together. Nothing to do with Ashton. He's just pretty. And fuck, that man is pretty. My God. But we did Stoner Cats with Mila, and it's super neat. It's 6 episodes of a cartoon that you unlock, and you can only watch if you own the NFT. At Big Head Club, we like to do strange and marvelous NFTs that stand the test of time. The kind of thread that we're trying to weave through all of it is pushing the medium forward. Experimentation, trying something new. We thought we were the first to ever do that episodic gating of content. There's a cool NFT called Deadheads that likes to remind us that they were first. So hi, Deadheads. Yes, I know you were first, but we didn't know that at the time. So that was an attempt to push that envelope forward. And then we did something called Oni Ronin, which are absolutely mind-blowing. Samurai haiku poems. We took real haiku death poetry, because that's a thing. In order to die well as a samurai, you would try and write your death poem as close as you could to the moment that you died. And so we took 20 of those poems from history, like real haiku death poems, and built an entire NFT collection around them. And we've got these heavy metal fantasy things. We've got comics, and we've got lessons, and you can send your Ronin to the Trial of Ascension. So the bravery mechanic is in there. And that was new, never seen in NFTs, where you would find out whether you had a golden Ronin or just a fallen Ronin. And then we did Ghostbusters, and Ghostbusters has gotten incredible, like the official Ghostbusters Afterlife NFTs. There's an incredible medium in there, like a mechanic about the mob are these new NFTs that will visit your wallet if you own a Ghostbuster already, because those mini puffs like to travel is a pack. And then if you have a Ghost Trap NFT, which we made, you can capture the mob and get one for free. Again, just always trying to push the envelope of what's been done. Sometimes embedding that inside major IP, but that comes with more stress than it's worth in a lot of cases. And we like to support weird art. We just released a collection by a guy named String Bean that nobody's ever heard of, but he just made art we loved. We've done pieces by somebody named Vit Orvuski, Late Afternoon Drizzle, beautiful, strange art. Honestly, we like making weird, cool shit, and we have the privilege of kind of being good at it and making money, and so we're gonna keep at it,
Hey, that's the best job in the world, making weird, cool shit. There you go.
It's kind of okay. Kind of not complaining.
Yeah, Mac, I'm kind of curious, where are your creativity coming from?
Can't help it. Was born this way.
There you go. Hey, thank you for your contribution to the whole digital art. It really made it fun. And it is sometimes like conservative people, entrepreneurs, like, who the hell would buy this crazy, weird, cool crap, right?
One of the best things I do to keep myself humble is go read the comments in Facebook on any NFT article. It's very good. It's very good. The fucking one line that sums up my professional life over the last 5 years is a fool and their money are easily separated. That is the anthem of Facebook comments on every single NFT article out there. And I'm always like, it could be, I suppose. I don't know. I feel like it's been working out, but you never know.
Hey, those are the things, though. The haters, those are the things that, okay, I can make it even more so people could hate me even more.
So
Right?
to be honest, do you guys know Little Michaela?
No, not at all. Tell
Oh
us
my
more.
God. Okay. Little Michaela is the best thing in the world. Little Michaela was a virtual influencer, and nobody knew that she wasn't real for a long time because she looked super real. And eventually it came out that she was put together by a company called Brood. Brood ended up creating Friends with Benefits, which is like arguably the biggest DAO culturally that matters in the NFT space. But Little Michaela had nothing to do with NFTs. She was just this virtual influencer. And at Dapper, we raised $12 million, the first time we raised money. And like the internet lost its shit. They were so fucking mad that the cartoon cat fuckers on the blockchain had just raised $12 million. This is the problem with Silicon Valley. You people are out of touch. This is just another like cookie delivery app. Solve real problems. People are dying of cancer. This is bullshit. I hate Silicon Valley. All this. And then like the day after we made that announcement and pleased the world as we did, Brood came out and said that they raised $6 million. And once again, like the same people on the same TechCrunch articles, because people were still reading TechCrunch, just fucking furious. Just like, this is unacceptable. Who would give this $6 million? And magically, I was talking to, like the woman who runs Fenty, Rihanna's thing, or the creative director over there. And she said, do you know Brood? Do you know Little Michaela? And I was like, no, but I worship them. I'm so infatuated with this thing that they've built. And so she said, I'll set you up on a call. I called them. Trevor became a good friend of mine. I think he might even be an investor in Big Head. He's at least an advisor. Somehow he's involved in this fucking business. But at the time, I called him and I said, listen, the same people who fucking hate me hate you. Let's give them something to really fucking hate. And we were going to do some weird shit together. It was going to be super fun and super cool. But we never really got around to it. Man, but there are some weird pitch decks in this world about like Little Michaela meets CryptoKitties from 2017. We'll make an NFT out of those. It'll be worth a lot of money someday.
Oh my God. Well, let us know before before it gets out. So that's hilarious though. See, that's why like this comments and haters, it creates even more fun things because hey, why not, right?
Drake taught me, man. Thanks to all the haters, I know G4 pilots on a first name basis. Even my kid knows that line. That's like how the shit works.
Dan?
Yeah, no, it's really interesting, like you're saying. But we all know those people though will hate on everything because that's some people live in the drama and some people live in positivity. But I'm curious though, and I was looking at the Ronin. Love that. I've always really interested in Japanese and history there. With the Stoner Cats, did they? How did that come about? I'm really fascinated that you worked on that project, and it seemed like that. I know they've done the BFF and some other big projects, so it seems like that had become more and more popular as Mila got more known for the NFT in the crypto space.
So Ashton runs or works at a group called Sound with Guy Osiris. Sound are some VCs. When we were putting Big Head together, we were talking about taking some money from some people. And through the journey, I met a woman named Maria. Maria is the shit. Maria is the best ever. And I was talking to Maria about our business, and we were talking a lot. And because she works with Ashton, she's friends with Mila. And so she kept saying, like, Mila's going to do this Stoner Cats thing. And the problem for them, so Lisa and Mila run Orchard Farm. It's a production company. And they learned about Stoner Cats. 3 people made Stoner Cats, came up with the idea. Their names are Sarah, Chris, and Ash. This is how this industry works, and I've learned this. They're the creators. They're like, we have a fucking idea. We have a vision. We want to make a thing. And then they have to go to a producer and get the producer to fund it. And the production house, is Lisa and Mila, called Orchard Farm. And so Orchard Farm is then supposed to go to Netflix, go to a movie company, go to Cartoon Network, and try and get you distribution and I guess raise some money for you to make your cartoon. They didn't think they could get anybody to buy Stoner Cats. Apparently they tried with a bunch of people and everybody's like, no. And then Mila said to Ashton one day, hey, can we like NFT this thing? And he was like, I don't know, but you should call Maria because she will know. And you should call Morgan, a woman named Morgan Beller, who's the shit. She's fucking amazing. And she is a VC at NFX, but she also was with David Marcus, co-creator of Libra, and I guess they call it Diem now, the Facebook blockchain. So anyhow, there's a group of very, very talented women who some knew a lot about NFTs, some knew a lot about making TV, and they came together. Maria's one of them. I was talking to Maria. She kept pitching me their different ideas. I kept being like, no, don't do that, don't do that. And eventually they're like, fuck you, come talk to Mila and Lisa. And so I talked to Mila and Lisa, and I was like, oh, they kind of get it, and they kind of care, and this is fucking cool. And so we did that project with them, and to their infinite credit, they're like drank fully from the Kool-Aid. They did gimmicks. Their next project, totally blockchain, totally own the NFT to see the content. It's on Solana. They got another one coming. They like truly love and believe in this weird world. And honestly, it hasn't been easy. Like being a celebrity, it's awesome. You have a big fancy house. People love you, blah, blah, blah. Like all sorts of great shit. But also like the target on your back fucking sucks. Really and truly. I've seen this firsthand now. Mm-hmm. The target on your back sucks. You do interesting things, you fail, people mock you, people hate you, people laugh at you, and you're a real human being on the other side of that. You're sitting there reading the fucking comments on Instagram just like everybody else is. But Mila and Lisa, God bless them, they're like, I don't want to say all in on this. That's probably overstating it, but they're like, they fucking believe. They really think it's really exciting to eliminate middlemen and for the creators of the content and the consumers of the content to connect to each other directly. And that's sort of the power of what we're doing here. One of the powers of what we're doing here. It's really fucking neat. And Lisa is a friend of mine, probably for many, many, many years to come. Mila's fucking awesome. But even if I never spoke to them again, they would be on this blockchain journey. They really are. Like they are priestesses in our church now.
Mm-hmm. Wow, I really love those. Yeah, Dan, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I appreciate the way you explain people, by the way. Like the words that you give to explain how incredible people are is great, by the way. Go ahead, Kate.
Yeah, so I really love that. Mac, we were just at Cannes Film Festival, and I we met a few of the 5 people that was a pioneer of owning Bitcoin, and they were there making film. And again, exactly what you were sharing, like they want to fund movies through Bitcoin, and they were a few first, and I love the passion about it. Like someone has to do it, right? Someone has to jump off the cliff to try, and if this gonna work or not, and then figure out if my parachute is gonna work in the middle, right? But I do have so much respect for these people, because being the first comes with risk, and like again, a lot of haters and will mock you when you fail, but they were the one that first test the market. And then you got to earn the benefit in the end.
And it would be like really fun if I wasn't an emotionally sensitive individual. I personally am. I'm like highly emotionally sensitive. It's an interesting thing that I only came to realize later in life and be very comfortable with. But when people say mean shit about me on the internet, I totally care. I totally fucking care. I would love to be like, no, it doesn't matter. Like as a parent, I'm supposed to tell my kids, it doesn't matter. Sticks and stones will break my bones. Names will never hurt you and shit. Fuck that. Names hurt like a motherfucker. People being shitty on the internet is really, really hurtful. And it makes people like me feel small and little, and it's awful. And before meeting some very rich, very famous people, I'd be like, why the fuck do you care what the internet thinks about you? Like, those are some mouth-breathing troll motherfuckers. Who cares? Really? And logically, I'm all in. I get it. It doesn't matter at all. There's no practical consequence. Emotionally, care deeply. I'm not saying you should. Could be that it's a weakness, but it's also true. And I'm far more interested in the truth than the strengths of the weakness of the statement.
Mm-hmm. Dan?
Yeah, no, it's people in this space. It seems like you do have some very outspoken individuals.
Always anonymous.
And yep. So
people don't put their name on shit. And that, to be honest, that helps a lot. When people won't put their name on shit and they're flapping their lips, I'm like, oh, right, okay. My address is all over the internet. My phone number, my email, my kids' names. Like, this is me. You can find me. I'm just doing me. And while some shitlord wants to anonymously act like they know everything that's going on, it makes it slightly easier, but still not easy. Still not easy.
And but definitely, and it's bighead.club, by the way, right?
Yes, sir.
Bighead.club. All right,
Well,
yeah. So love those. Go ahead, Kate.
yeah, no, this is really fun, Mac. I hope you're enjoying your time. It's
Always.
really wonderful hearing, man, some of those stories that you're sharing. It's, it's really amazing to hear that. Again, you guys are the first to kind of deep dive into this, and a lot of people get rewarded and benefited from your hard work and getting smacked in the head. So thank you.
Thank you.
I know I
Nice
didn't
to hear.
realize too that you had. I didn't realize that a lot of people that, like you mentioned, creating a lot of these companies and stuff worked together at one point, and everyone kind of knew each other. As a small community. Now they've dispersed, like like
Mhm.
Jiho and OpenSea, and which is incredible. So,
Hold on.
do you find?
I'm back. I
Do,
fucked up the audio, but I'm back. I'm back. I'm back.
no worries. Do you find that a lot, like you had mentioned before, like Jiho, obviously huge success, and so the other people you mentioned went to OpenSea. Are you finding that people from when it was very, very tiny and now they've kind of dispersed and doing different things, are people still open to collaborating with one another, to speaking with one another, or do they do their own thing and they kind of like fade off and don't really reconnect with the previous people?
No, there seems to be a like earned stripes thing. Like if you bought an NFT in 2017 and you talk to somebody else who bought an NFT in 2017, you like earn a seat at their table automatically, sort of. Now, to be clear, a lot of those people never left. Like, remember, I stopped making NFTs. I went and made mobile games for a while, and a lot of these degen motherfuckers never left. They're all a lot richer than I am too, to their credit. This is what you get for like being religious about the right thing, and they were religious about the right thing. But I mean, I don't want to say that I have everybody else's experience, because all those people, like if you were buying NFTs in 2017, you were buying CryptoKitties, and then you knew me. I was a figure in that small community at the time, so I have really good access to anybody from 2017. But I think they have really good access to each other as well. Outside of the fact that there are some rivalries and some of them don't like each other, and somebody said something stupid about somebody or something over the years, generally speaking, there is a like, just yeah, like fucking I see you and I know you believe, and you believe in something that I believe in, and so there is a seat at my table for you. There will always be a place set. And I think that's generally how it works for those old timers. I keep hearing people call themselves vets because they were doing this in 2021. I'm like, okay, that's cute.
I like that. That's cute. But to you guys core team credit, like the Axie Infinity, it really provides a lot of livelihood to a lot of people in Asia. And Mac, I grew up in the Philippines, and hearing kids that are making money, making more money than their parents, it's truly like that kind of really want me to embrace of Web3. And just so you know, we're putting together the biggest Metaverse festival in Manila, because if you
Ooh.
look at the whole landscape of adoption of the crypto wallet, they're number 2 in the world. So that's because of Axie and the whole play to earn program. And so I really believe into that, because it really providing job and livelihood to kids and help their family. And that's a beautiful thing. I think for
It's so
me, that's a
neat.
beautiful thing.
It's so weird. And like, again, anybody from 2017 who told you they saw this coming would be full of shit. Like, that person is objectively a liar. But it's cool. It's cool to have been a small part of the sort of witch's cauldron and science experiment that led to this madhouse world we live in. I'm honored to be along for the ride, you know?
Yeah, I was just in Barcelona speaking about Web3 for entrepreneurs, getting ready for them before they get disrupted, a few of their businesses. But I got asked a question to one of the female who's head of the Harvard Innovation Lab, and she asked me, Kate, how do you feel about this whole play to earn program where one giant is making money? I said X, Y, and Z. I mean, the kids are making money. I mean, I'm okay with it. Like, they're helping their family and self-sufficient themselves, doing the things they love. I mean, I understand one person making money, but they're benefiting from it, and it's spread to third world country, that's a beautiful thing. And so she actually said, well, I really like how you explain this, because sometimes people just focus into, oh, this should not be a big giant making money, but it dispersed to a lot of people. And that's the beauty of Web3 that I really love.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Mac, for being here. We're honored that you're here. So, of course, we always ask people, where can they find you and hear more information? I know there's bighead.club, BIGHEAD.club. Where else can they connect you, or what's a good way that people can get in touch with you or the company that you have?
What is my Twitter name? Bighead Mac. Bighead Mack, I think, is my name on Twitter. I quit Twitter. I turned 40 and I quit liquor and Twitter. I was like, I'm an alcoholic and I'm addicted to social media, so I'm gonna get off both those motherfuckers. And so I spent 1 year not drinking and not tweetering. I deleted LinkedIn. You know what my favorite thing is? People say dress for the job you want, not the job you have. You heard that expression?
Mm-hmm.
The most interesting, powerful people I've met don't use LinkedIn. And so I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to dress for the job I want. I'm going to delete that motherfucker and see what happens. And it was not a direct result, but like in the year after that, I had a wild fucking year. I've interesting, strange new friends. I'm rambling. Bighead Mac on Twitter, Mac at Bighead Club, Mack at Bighead Club. I'm not going to give you my phone number, but I'm really easy to find on the internet, I think.
Yeah, Mac, I have one last question, your idea. Okay, I'm going to throw this out you. If you have, you have a big palace that charge 100K a night and they wanted to drop an NFT, what creative picture would you put that? Like, what would be the digital art? Just random.
It's a big fancy castle.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter what the art is like. If you buy the NFT, Jim Carrey will hunt you with a crossbow inside the castle.
See, I really need to be creative.
He's one of my favorite.
There you go. See,
I want to go there.
Right?
Yes. Oh my god, I'm laughing so hard. Thank you, Mac.
Maybe we can all make that happen. That would be incredible.
We can make that happen. It would be a great project.
I think so.
There you go. Mac, what a pleasure. Thank you so much for sharing all your input, stories, and man, hats off to you and your friends.
Thank you. Y'all have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Mac.
Bye.